everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing Azorius Flash. This is a lot like the Demir list in the way that it functions. We want to be tempoing everything out, where on our opponent's end step we want to be flashing stuff in or countering things and letting our creatures that are already in play get the value, or staggering with either Aang or Aven Interrupter and then getting a ton of value off Enduring Curiosity. Other than that, we have quite a bit of one-ofs in the list, being Avatar's Wrath, Clarion Conquer, the Flanker, along with a Soul Guide Lantern. You can argue Flanker and Soul Guide Lantern serve the same purpose, but we play Lantern just in case we want to use it as a draw card, and a High Noon to help us kind of close out the game in some of the weird matchups where our tempo cards are just good enough. We just don't want them to be able to double spell after an Avatar's Wrath, or maybe after we Aang Interrupter them. And then we have things to keep us alive, but with that, we're just going to go ahead and dive into the game. Turn 2, I want to know more lies. Hopefully, turn 3, do Flood Pits, and then have turn 4, Curiosity, and go that route with the game. Hopefully, it works out that way. My opponent is or is not here. I already restarted the game video once because they weren't here to keep their opening hand, and now they're not here to... Okay, maybe they are. I don't know. They seem distracted, I guess we'll say. Did I get queued up into the wrong format? That's Omnipath, right? What's that symbol? Okay, we're just getting Graveyard Reanimator. Gross, but sure. I'm here. Okay. Obviously, we're just going to get one-shotted whenever it happens, so we might as well just get our value. Obviously, we'll have to give up the Curiosity value for one turn and try to jam in on their end step on a following turn. Then we're probably going to have to hold up to save an Interrupter. Yes, do this. Doesn't counter. It actually makes the card more expensive. Or they have a second one and it doesn't really matter what we do. It most likely will not block here. Okay. Return target card made by 4 grade from graveyard to hand. Exile target artifact. Okay, sure. I probably should have just flashed that in to rip some cards, but I don't know. Sure. Watch this hit something godlike. Oh, it didn't. Sure. Yeah. Hmm? Sure. Huh? Oh, here. Team Rip is interesting. I mean, I doubt we see a block here, but this is 2 cards if they let it happen. Yeah. Team Rip again. Definitely not cards we want to be seeing. If I airbend, can't play the cards next turn. Then we'll pass. Can't play this turn, but they can play the Faithful. When they go for this, we'll have to just figure out something, maybe even Interrupter it again. We'll see. Probably could have just played the Starting Town, I guess. I don't know why I didn't. Artifact or Enchantment. Bro, that can exile this, my guy. I mean, that's a deal. I'd take that deal. Voice not that important. These aren't really doing anything. I have an Aven Interrupter. If they go for Arden here, there's no creature in the graveyard, so it literally doesn't do anything, weirdly enough. They do go for Arden. Wait. Here. That back. Now it costs 2 again. You can play it again, but again, there's not anything it can do. Here. See him rip this out of the way. And do what here? I don't really know. But seam ripping it. Getting value off the seam rip seems good. You can also play this, exile this, but it still costs 4 mana to do the other. No one. I guess I could have brought up my land and attacked him with it if I would have just done my math. I was so focused on the board that I didn't bring up my land for lethal. Okay. But we're learning, adapting, evolving. Thanks. I can't say thanks, but good game, I suppose. Or they were talking about theirs because it seemed like their deck kind of folded in on itself. I don't know. It's really weird. All right, this is about the hand we would like to keep. Or the Siren. Play Plains maybe. Play the Passage on White maybe. Activate the map. Yeah. Not really going to change our game plan no matter what we hit anyway, but I could have been a bit more secretive about what we were doing, I suppose. We're just going to play instant speed against this deck. No real reason to commit anything here. Against Demir. No Kaido against me, sir. Could wait until their turn, but then they could add a counterspell up, so I don't really want to do that. So it's just a bit weird here. Didn't want to blight one. So that actually works out pretty good here. Spell Snare very good against this match, I think. If I remember right. Reason right there. Now, if they remove my Innocence and they don't play a land, Kaido can't come down. But they're shocking, so it seems that way. I'm not playing around that at all. I still get the value with it coming into the graveyard. They could Tidebinder this, I guess. Maybe that's what they're playing around. Or maybe they're not playing around anything and they're mad and they're leaving. Alright, cool. Fun to play again. Getting rewarded for just being here, I guess. Blue here is perfectly fine. We definitely want to tempo out our turn. We want to go 1, 2, and then 3. Especially considering our opponent won't be able to touch us on our turn. Okay. Definitely now we want to. We're going to be blue-white. We'll see a tap land. Jeskai. This is where Aang's going to be really valuable. Go ahead. Also, Enduring Innocence will be really nice as well if we can at some point get to that. But this is the budget version of Enduring Curiosity, so it doesn't really matter there. Curiosity can just come in on one of our turns if we really want to, if our voice is still floating around, because that's going to, like in theory here, right? Do this. We save voice. Right? We could have also just done this and played it for 2 again. so they don't get to Helix for a later turn. But this is an example of where we could just maybe blow them out. I want to activate this because I want to land, but I just think it's probably wrong. End of the turn. I'd like to flanker on their end step. If they go to Helix something, I might let it go. Or we'll just do the Ang play. Here. I got... Actually, no, that's fine. Okay, no more lies now. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we're digging for a land at some point. We do have the counter spell, so something like an ultimate here doesn't get the job done. Or a Day of Judgment. Obviously, they could go Day of Judgment with a spell snare up, which is definitely in Jeskai control. I don't know why I'm like really congested right now. Well, thankfully, it's an Ultima. Ow. Ahead. Go ahead. We have this to protect us. That away. Win. Very cool. Very cool. I don't know who I made happy to let me go first all the time in today's video, but I'll take it. Spell snare will be really nice. Like maybe blue-eye control. Let's just jam this. If it stays, we're great. If not, we're probably going to lose based on our hand. Maybe I should have waited, but I say we kind of end up in the same spot. Also, that gets around spell snare anyway, so it doesn't matter. We do need to find a threat, and that's a pretty good one if there is ever to be one. Blue. This enters unless we control basic, which we do, so we're fine. Really like for a land stock up from our opponent here. We can kind of pop it. The no more lies, but because then that makes our turn have value, right? And it also, a lot of times if you play in these matchups, it gets really weird. Because if they can't stock up and get the value, a lot of times their hand becomes like really, really clunky. Here than they would like. Weirdly enough, I think I have to wait here. The turn. They kept on top. For what? If we can get Curiosity down and for Curiosity to hit like one time, that's about all we need. Because then we can hopefully maintain a lot of that value. Unfortunately, our opponent's obviously allowed to interact with us. Stock up, interact with spell snare. Let's jam Curiosity into it. I think this is a spell snare, in my opinion. And stock up, I don't really want to use this no more lives right now. They already played land for turn, I believe, right? Yeah, because we were on the play. Oh, did we miss the land, though? If they go, like, shock land, get lost, you can always spell snare. Now, hopefully, this is where we can generate a ton of value and actually find creatures to draw. Okay. Voice is probably worth jamming here. Oh, no spell snare. Sweet. But I do have a no more lies. It may be good. Hopefully it's day, no more lies, and my spell snare gets good. If we make contact with this, this game is 100% feels like it's over. No more lies on the back end, please. This is what we were planning for. I don't have the mana. But I do have the spell snare. You hope it's a No More Lies. They go for Get Lost. Fantastic. This is 4 cards we're going to draw. This is how we run this game over, hopefully. Take our draw 4 before we decide to do anything. Okay. All right. Sweet. So I could play High Noon, but I feel like Aang with Flood Piss is just a better play. But High Noon with Aang is also very, very good. So let's go High Noon. They're fully getting taxed out. And this can also give us our red mana that we need to pop this and shoot them for 5. So now they're pretty much just stuck no matter what they do. We got a couple fortunate plays that we were kind of begging for, and that's exactly what we needed. Once again, only play they can play this turn, so we play an Aang. We put this back. It'll be 2 mana, but they cannot cast it. And then we try to go to combat, which we don't have the land this time, but now we do that, and then we do this. And that should get her done. Very sweet. It wouldn't have been there, I don't think. We went 5 over. We added 4, or we added 5 damage. So it would have been Xaxes, it looks like. Could always play Starting Town on turn 1, but if I rip 2 Starting Towns back to back, then sure, so be it. Voice isn't really going to do anything to turn it inner. Same with like Enduring Innocence, but I don't really want to pay more value for those than I have to. I guess I can just do Starting Town and then maybe Seam Rip this. Or just play my land, hold up the No More Lies. Feels maybe better. Or just play a Voice. Or it's Seam Rip it and then Spell Snare the card they play next. Those all seem like good options. And since this is going to enter tap anyway, doesn't really matter what I do. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a profit on it. Okay. How do we beat Angels, huh? Exactly the same thing twice? No. Okay. I think now I would love to play Enduring Innocence, but I just don't think I can. Obviously, they chump one of these 1/1s. Then we pass and we hold up our No More Lies. They're going to hit us for 2 and then go to play like a 4 or 5 mana Angel probably. You full Valkyrie. Probably enough to warrant a counter spell, I think. Sure. It's a tough game to try to win here. No, we just have to sit here and wait. We'll have to find an Avatar's Wrath, essentially, is our only way. Sure. Avatar's Wrath plus something to not let us die. Like, you know, these are all options. Alright, well, there's a land. I know this is obviously marching this right into dying, but I felt like I needed the card draw. So I think we're cooked regardless, right? Because everything has flying. Is that enough to kill me anyway? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know, you decide, I guess. Well, we were never getting there, apparently. Oh, boy. That's small. A little bit tougher. Keep, I guess. Both mold at least, so I don't feel near as bad. Okay. Gonna be important here. The voice. Oh, obviously there's block potential here, but sure. So it's not red black. Orange. Okay. Swing one at me. That's fine. Here. The voice in play, we can't do anything at instant speed anyway, right? So kind of in the whatever land. We hopefully are kind of hoping that they just go back to playing it, so I can just kind of play the curiosity. Play a second shadow. Sure. Be a better triumph here. Their hand pretty low though. They go for another voice, sure. One. Over here. Let's toughen you up, I guess. Maybe. Here. Try to hit a land. I wish after flooding last game I would find the land now. But as per usual, this is about how it resides. Sure. Bit of a weird one. Sure. Kind of tells us their hand might not be that great. Land for Avatar's Wrath be cool, but I have a weird suspicion that we'll draw basic island here. Remember, we do have this voice in play, so our opponent can't interact on our turn. Not attacking and doing it that way. Okay. Well, again, our opponent cannot do anything. And then these are also not playable on their next turn. Again, not respond here. They could Umbral Color Zealot if they'd like. But a simple reminder, not playable. Their hand has to have stuff in it. That's good. And if not, I'm probably just going to play a Siren and hold up Aang. Unless we rip like an Aven Interrupter, because then that would make all those cost 4. Because they're from exile and they'll cost 2 more. Vengeful Blood Witch. Okay. Is that whenever a creature they control dies? Yeah, whenever they control. Sure. Well, it also feels like maybe a high noon angle, and then we ang them. Feels like we have them locked out. We did exactly what we needed. We finally drew a land, and everything came together. Obviously, voice, they can't respawn. They keep highlighting as though they can. Go away. That doesn't trigger. And then we just ang whatever they cast. And the high noon just keeps them there. So, weird. We hit the land and immediately blew the game out, which is how Magic can be sometimes, right? When you have all the answers and all the plays, you always typically need something, right? But we'll take it. Opponent first here, and I have a hand that does stuff, so we'll keep. Okay. Well, this 100% needs to be on white based on my hand. Holy. If it's like Badger Mole Cub, there's not a lot we can do anyway. Can't see him rip at instant speed. Though we'd obviously love to. Innkeeper's Talent. Okay. Here. And then obviously now we're going to hold up counter spells. And at some point probably see him rip this thing. Put the fries in the bag, bro. We'll pop that. Flanker is also really good here, huh? I think holding up the counterspell, flashing in Flanker, trying to make sure we hit our 4th land drop. It's always the 4th one that matters, especially a blue one here would be great. That's a little bit of a troublesome scenario. That cannot be countered. It can be even interrupted, though. And it's plotted, so they can't do it till next turn. I could also flanker here. Just eat it, right? Kind of where my mind's going. I'll have ward. I don't mind taking a little bit of damage. Not a bad card, but not a card we need. Sure. There's the land. Could be the opportunity to play like the voice and just see him rip this out of the way. But I think still holding up counterspell, because again, it's the only card other than like maybe Sirach that can't be countered. And even if it can be countered, we can always Aven it. We also want them to maybe like play a 1-drop and then fully pump this, so we get good seam rip value. Because right now, without a creature in play, this has no value, right? It could also just start bossing, staying us, which would probably be the better play. And we'll need a next turn on that one, Chief. We definitely want to go Steam Rip now on this. And then we definitely want to probably play our voice, because we want to set up for... I personally want to set up for the Enduring Curiosity draw, or even like the Enduring Innocence draw, even though we put one down here. We just want to set up for those draws where we can. Here they can definitely go Badger Mole Cub, basically replace the mana because they have enough mana to do it. I mean, it's like -1, but should be a-okay for them. And then a card like Clarion Conqueror here will actually do a ton for us. So at 4 mana, what they'll have, hopefully for us, we see like an Ouroboros, maybe, because then we can pop it. Also, again, Clarion Conqueror does shut off the forest. So if they attack with it, we'll actually not even do anything with it. We'll just let it go. We'll take that as a counter spell. Target too. They're getting too much mana now. Another land, not ideal. Only shut off a little bit of their mana, unfortunately. So something like an Ouroboros here will crush. They have 4 mana instead of 6. I just know that This card as well gets out of control. Keepers, sure. That can be activated. Artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers. So, Innkeeper's Talent can be done. Sure. Did I trade these? I think so. Possible to have a protection spell? Yeah. Am I playing around that? No, not really. The combat. Oh yeah, my artifact can't be activated, right? I was like, I just had a brief lapse on what the card I played was. But we do have lethal. Theory. Obviously, our opponent, we've played against this type of deck before, could do a lot of things, but with Clarion Conqueror in play, they're going to struggle a bit. Or Boroid does pretty much nothing. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's fine. You just bring up our land and attack them again. And being at 6, we want everything. They can't float the land for mana, so if there was some random 2 mana card that they could have access to, they can't do it. And also, if it's 2 mana, I have a spell snare. Because I drew a spell snare of all cards here. So thankfully we end the game this turn. Or we'd probably be in a lot of trouble. But I'm going to assume our opponent has left the game and will no longer be completing it. And their phone is off and in the oven. So we'll cut to the end here. Oh wait, they're actually here. They made a block. Okay. Cool. We'll take that. Sick. That we bring the games to a close, and the deck works really well. There's probably some tune-ups you can definitely make to make it a bit more consistent. As you can tell, we kind of settled for a lot of one-ofs. I don't remember exactly where the list came from. I was watching Dr. Ruckus, and he was playing this list. I think it's actually he's playing it today, or he played it yesterday, uploaded it today. I'm now watching it today, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to try that list out. It looks like a lot of fun, and it kind of reminds me of the combo list, but the combo list is pretty much impossible to play on Arena. It's not, obviously, but you start getting timed, and it gets a lot more stressful. We made a couple more changes to the list from there. We played some of the cards from the side into the main, which is okay, but this is where I settled on one Clarion Conqueror. Turns out it worked pretty well against like Badgermole Cubs. High Noon actually helped win a game, but we don't want to see these in high volume. And we have a Lantern and a Flanker. We probably could just play a second Flanker, but we want to use Lantern to maybe draw a guard and then one Avatar's Wrath. You could definitely figure out the way to punch these cards out of the deck if you don't like them, but I personally think they're pretty solid, and I'm going to play them myself. But deck felt good. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.